and welcome to episode, I think 10. I think it's 10 of the Rorschach Test Podcast. I'm your host, Tyrell James. Today I got a special guest, Beau. I was trying to say guest and Beau at the same time.
Right. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, Beau? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well actually. I'm excited to be here and on your show and can't wait to see what we're gonna come up with because I have no script. So we're good. So it's all off the fly.
Well, that's good. That's what I like. That's what I like. I like
Yeah.
for things to be spontaneous, and I'm not a planner. I'm not a planner. It drives my wife crazy that I'm not a planner. But I don't like to plan things. I like to be spontaneous. I like to just see what happens. So we'll see what happens today. Today I'm doing this a little bit differently than I do some of my other podcasts. So what I normally do is I normally interview people who are creators. Now you are a creator, but for the most part, I interview content creators and I ask them. I put these Rorschach tests up on the screen, and then I ask them what it is that they see, and I link what they see to what it is that they do. But this time I wanted to take a bit of a different approach, even though I am still going to try to link what it is that you do to what you see on the Rorschach test. Your story, you and I, we've had this conversation about your past and just your story. And your story is really, really interesting and it's powerful. I think people need to definitely hear your story. But what I'm going to do is I want to link what you see on these tests to who you are, like, and everything that you've been through. So this time it's going to be kind of like um, a therapist session. Like like you're actually sitting in therapy with the therapist, and the therapist is holding up the Rorschach test, and they're linking the things that you see to your life. Here's the thing: I ain't qualified to do this. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not qualified at all to do this. Not on paper, anyway. So this will be interesting. This will be really, really interesting. There are a lot of things about you that I already do know, and then there are things that I'm sure that I will learn. But so as we do these Rorschach tests, um, hopefully I'll get to learn more, and your story will just be able to get out there for people because I think that you have a very powerful story, and I believe that it could be a testimony for a lot of people. So before we get into any of the Rorschach tests, what I want you to do is just tell everybody exactly who you are and just share a little bit about your story. Also, tell us everything that you have going on as far as your podcast, your book, and just anything that you have going on.
Okay, awesome. Well, my name is Bo. Actually, my given name is actually Gus. I owe the nickname actually to my grandfather. He actually a little bit further than that. I would say I give my nickname more to my sister Brittany. She would I guess as a kid would call me Bro. I don't remember that at all. But my grandfather he shortened it up a little bit and he started calling me Bobo. And later on, as I got older, of course, as age progresses, Bobo at like 14, 15, it kind of gets like a little bit like, nah, that's embarrassing, mom. Don't call me that.
Yeah.
So, so I just switched to kind of Bo, and then it just kind of ran from there. And I remember changing my name to Beau versus the Bo. It was spelling, I guess, to add a little French flair. I don't know. I'm not even French, but it is what it is. But so shoot, that's me as far as my name goes. I'm 31. I'm a social worker, but I'm also a content creator. It's just starting out, but I'm definitely a content creator, and it's something I've always wanted to do. Um, let's see. How far do you want me to go back? As far as like telling about my story and all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start with you being a content creator, and then we'll work our way backwards.
Okay. Yeah. So
Because
basically, I
I believe that the reason that you are this content creator is because of the things that you've gone through. So let's start there. Let's start at the end, and then we'll go back to the beginning and then fill in all the blanks.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've always been like a sort of content creator. Even as a kid, I remember just like drawing little, I started drawing at a young age, and I used to love it, and I still do. I at age 14, when other kids were like outside playing and stuff like that. Of course, my history back then was a little different, but instead of doing that, taught myself how to code a website. And I remember like at 14 years old being on htmlgoodies.com. It's a thing way back when. And I taught myself HTML. And I remember creating my first website and putting it online, and how much pride it gave me, and just like all that stuff. And so I've always been wanting to have a content, like some kind of content out there. I've always wanted to create. Um, of course, music is my first love. I'm really big into music. I was a praise and worship leader for years. I traveled around and sang at different churches and stuff like that growing up. So I loved like creating music, and then I just loved creating the written word. I started in like little blog hobbies here and there. It never actually like really took off because I would either get busy with other things, or of course I get complacent, or I just get bored with it, so I just move on. However, my life has kind of changed a lot to where it's kind of becoming more like the forefront of who I am and what I want. Um, so I kind of, it's just always been a big thing for me, and it allows me to express my emotions. It allowed me to express. It allowed me to escape like some of the trauma that I've dealt with, and some of the issues that I've had growing up, and it's definitely something. Now I'm working on a podcast. I'm in the process of writing a book. The podcast is called the Life Addicts Podcast.
You
Also,
say
Life Addicts. What's that?
polite? Did you say polite addicts?
The Life Addicts.
Life addicts. Okay. Okay.
Yep, the Life Addicts podcast. The lifeaddicts.com basically is how you can get to it. But it's just about podcast, and going in more detail with my life story, you'll understand why I call it the Life Addicts. But it's kind of like giving an alternative, a way to express and be addicted to life without having like help from any kind of substances or substance abuse or anything like that. So that's definitely the goal that I'm wanting to aim currently. And then of course my book, the I believe the title is going to be Unmasked. I don't know 100%, but it's basically going to be a tell-all memoir about my life growing up, and how basically I lived my life in a sort of like a facade, a fake, a fake image of who I was, who they put me to be, and how they expected me to be. So now breaking free from that, I'm able to reinvent myself and kind of rediscover myself, and I'm still on that journey. But it's those are two of the main things that I'm wanting to do, and of course, music. Still being I'm a songwriter. I play piano. I'm a musician by heart. So there's a lot of different things that I'm going through as far as like content wise. So I'm excited to get started on all that.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning. Um, the things that have led you to podcasting, that led you, you said the life addicts. So you had struggles with addiction.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so let's start there with addiction. What led to the addiction?
Oh, whew. Um, Everything basically got to lead to this addiction. But I think it really started to come to a head, of course, when 2020 started, and the isolation and all that stuff. It just kind of came to an issue to where I started using that as a way to deal with these emotions, because I am a people person at heart. I love being around people, and when I wasn't able to, especially now. Now in this this stage of my life, I'm really into like being around people and stuff. So it was really big. But I just never dealing with my childhood trauma, never dealing with my emotions, never dealing with the things that I've gone through. I just, at a young age, I was with food, and like doing a food addiction, using food as a comfort. Later on, when I didn't have that anymore, which I can go into detail more later on about that. But I switched to alcohol because I found it to be the next best thing, and it actually turned out to be, in my opinion, better. And of course, not only that, but then experimented with drugs and stuff like that, just to kind of ease that, just to escape from those feelings that I was still having that I never really dealt with. So, being on the other side of it now, and looking back, of course, I'm grateful for the road that I've been on. However, it's definitely something that I'm trying to actually put in the forefront of my mind to change my future, so I don't end up back into that, because who knows what life is going to throw at you. So I want to be prepared and be mentally capable of dealing with life without the need to escape.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask what drugs you were using?
Oh, I experimented with oxys, of course. That was my first experiment, but it led, of course, marijuana from time to time. I didn't really care how it felt. I didn't really like how it felt all that much, but it kind of led to more darker stuff. Meth, I did get into for a short period of time, um, and it little things like that. I'm surprised actually, because I give myself B12 shots, so I always said, like, I'm surprised I've never like got into heroin or anything like that. But it just never, I guess I never let it get to that point, never let it get that far. So I'm glad I put a stop to it before I got into more harder stuff. But I definitely experimented. But alcohol was my main addiction at the time.
Okay. Now, were you able to do this on your own, or did you like into like a 12-step program or rehab facility?
Oh, I went to detoxes. I went to detox. I think like four different detox facilities and two treatment centers.
Okay.
Which a detox facility, you're in there for like anywhere between like 5 to 10 days, maybe less, depending on at what point you're detoxing or what you're detoxing off of. And then the treatment centers are more 30 days. So I entered in the two treatment centers and like three maybe four detox facilities.
Okay. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your childhood, just growing up.
Okay. Well, I always like to bring it back to like 7 years old, being a kid that's like playing in the back of the church parking lot, just like running around as a kid, playing with girls and guys, and just unaware of, I guess, the future and what it was leading to, or what we were currently involved in. Um, I at age 7, I think, is my purest point, and then it was actually my as the years progressed, that's when I started losing a part of myself. I knew I was different than other kids, uh, other guys specifically. Um, i i always hung around with the girls a lot more like in a friend kind of thing, and I was like, I always related more with them more than like guys were just playing football and like throwing, shooting hoops and stuff like that, and that just wasn't me. I just didn't like that. So I knew I was definitely different, and it kind of led to a realization when I got to probably about third grade. I had my first crush, and it was actually on a guy, with a guy,
Mhm.
with a boy in my class, and I didn't really understand what that was. I didn't. I just thought, I was like, I just felt it just felt normal to me, and I didn't really know what being gay was, and so I just knew I that's just what I liked. And later on, I would say probably around pretty much around that same time as when I first heard about what gay was, and it was in this church that I belonged to, and I'll be honest, it was a cult for the most part. It was very, anyone who was involved with that are still involved with that. I don't mean any harm, but to me, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Right.
So the things that they did, and the things that they hid from the world, and from society and from law enforcement, it was most definitely a cult. And our
Are you
family kind of got.
able to share any of those things?
What's that?
Are you able to share any of the things that you experienced in the cult?
Oh yeah. There was some. Um, I guess sexual manipulation, I guess you can say. There was a sense of I don't want to disclose certain information
Mm.
because for the security and for the safety and for the help for the emotions from other people who were involved because I'm still in contact with some of those people. However, there were some illegal things that went on there that they never reported to law enforcement, and they basically were saying whatever happens in the church stays in the church. We'll handle it within the church, and we won't get anything involved within law enforcement because there was a separation between church and state, and they were strict on that. We were completely separated. Even though we went to work and we were a part of society as a I mean, on the outside, on the inside, we were cut off from people. I wasn't able to have like certain friends. I wasn't able to go anywhere. I wasn't able to do certain things because everything was wicked. Everything was evil. Everything, they will lead you down the road to hell and all these different things. So, um, but little did I know at that time, the most evil that was involved was within the confines of that same church.
Right.
So, and it took a while for me, and not only me, but my family to realize that. And yeah, some of my family still doesn't realize it. Some of my family I don't really have a conversation, I don't converse with anymore because of, a part of that, and they don't see where they did wrong. They don't have any, whatever. So it's kind of like wherever I choose, I have to separate myself from that.
Right.
Um, Yeah, so as far as sharing the legal aspect of the stuff, I just know that there was a lot of sex involved crime, and I unfortunately was a victim of that as well. But it's definitely it's odd for me to say this, but looking back on it now and looking back at everything I went through, a lot of people like there was a question while I was in rehab. Would you ever change anything from your past? If you could go back to your past and change something, what would it be? And I actually, when it came to me and I was supposed to share, I said I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
And as hard as that is, and as hard as I would want to change it, um, it shaped me to who I am today. It made me the intuitive and creative and this I guess mindful person that I am today, and I'm grateful for it.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Um, I think there's a lot of growth and wisdom in pain and in painful experiences. So I hear people oftentimes say, and I've said it even myself, that there's certain things that I just would not change about the past, or that I wouldn't change anything at all about the past. There are a couple of things that I personally would change about my past, but yeah, I do oftentimes hear people say that, and I think it's almost refreshing to hear somebody say that because it's you having an understanding that you wouldn't be in the place that you are today had it not been for those things. And the place that you are in today is a better place. Sometimes we have to go through things not just for our own personal growth, but for to contribute to the growth of other people. And
Absolutely.
right. So when you look at it like that, I mean, to say I would want to change all of these things at that point, it becomes a selfish thought. So I appreciate every time I hear somebody say that, even though I myself would change a couple of things from the past. But there's some things that when innocent people get hurt, I would like to try to change those things. But okay, so I think I want to go ahead and get into one of the tests. I have never gone this long without getting into one of the Rorschach tests, but I really wanted to get as much of your story as possible. So I want to go ahead and get into one of these tests. But then, so after the test, I want hopefully what I'm hoping will happen is based off of that test, it can lead into more of your story. So I'm going to put up something on the screen. So you just tell me what it is that you see.
Okay. At first glance, um, I think my brain kind of went to immediately to a butterfly, but after like further analyzing, I see two dancing women, and I see two women facing back to back.
Okay. Um, I see I see an ant's face.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
I see that.
yeah, it's so weird. Like I first saw it and I was trying to break it down by each part. Like I see two duck faces looking at each other, kind of like like right there in the middle. And then right below them I see two lips like they're trying to kiss or whatever. And I was like, okay, if I do it that way, I'm going to have to break down this entire thing. And this isn't about me. This is about you. So, but so yeah, but then it was like after I pulled back, I was able to just see an ant's face. Um, so okay, so go back to the things that you said that you saw. You say you saw two women sitting back to back.
I see two dancing women kind of back to back, and there's almost like they're in like a flowing dress, and they're kicking up their feet, like feet, but they don't have feet, obviously. But it's like it's like cut off right at the dress, and
Mhm.
I see them just like enjoying life and dancing, and then I also see two faces um, on both sides, kind of looking in opposite directions, but facing kind of back to back.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see that now. I see that now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. All right. This is going to be hard. Let me try to work my way through this. So let's start with the two women. Tell me their faces. What do you see with their facial expressions? What are they facial expressions saying?
Well, they're actually looking down. They're um they're both looking down, and their hands are almost coming to a meet
Mm-hmm.
in the middle down there, and two hands are kind of both of the opposite hands are like kind of up high, just like as they're almost like a ballerina kind of curve to their arm. Um, yeah, so I don't really see their faces. I just see them looking down, like as they're looking down as their hands meet.
Hmm. Okay. Shit. You may have stumped me here. Let me try to work my way through this one. Okay. Yeah, you would be the first person to stump me. Okay, I tell you what, hold on. Let me bring it back. I tell you what, hold on. You said two dancing women, right?
Yes.
All right, let's go to music because you make music. What type of music do you make?
Let's see. I'm big into songwriting, so it can go any way, any direction. I've learned to kind of have like music with more like a rock feel, and then I do some ballads. Actually, while I was in the rehabilitation facility that I was at, I actually wrote a song while in there, and it was talking about the third step. And anyone who's familiar with like the 12-step process, the third step is like giving up your will to God or your higher power.
Mhm.
Um, so I like to reference the higher power, but I it's all about like that whole struggle, that inner struggle with like how I need to take control, I need to have control, I need to do all this, but I'm gonna give it up. I need to, but I also need to let go because I know that that's more important because I can't control everything, and
Okay.
so I need, so that's kind of where I was with that, and so I guess it's whatever my emotions take me.
Mhm.
That's usually where I lead to, and when I get to the brink of like actually creating a song, I think I know the melody, I know the lyrics. It just all just starts flowing, and I just write the song right there with music, everything.
Okay. So what I did just now was I kind of cheated. I made you talk about something while I was trying to get together my thoughts for the other thing. So I think I got it now. Um, thanks for falling for that. Um,
You're welcome. Anytime.
so so the two women who were dancing, there's this sense of freedom with them. The way they're dancing, you said they have one has her arm, they both have their arms up, correct? And there's just this freedom that just comes with dancing anyway. So growing up, so you said you realized that you were gay in third grade, right?
Yeah.
Um, at what point did you come out to people immediately, or did you wait on coming out?
Let's see, I'm 31 now. I came out when I was 28.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you did that, did you feel this sense of freedom after you
Oh,
came out?
absolutely. Yes, and at the same time, also fear.
Right.
Like I was terrified
Hmm.
because my whole world was changing at that point.
Hmm.
Everybody knew, so it's like something that you held on to for so long, and now it's just like, boom. I don't have to hold on to it. So now, what am I gonna do? You know?
Yeah. Well, both freedom and fear come with dancing because, sometimes, you can be out there dancing and you have this fear that everybody's watching you. The same thing, with as I assume it would be being a homosexual male, that you're going to feel like people are looking at you and judging you and watching your moves the same way with dancing. People are going to be watching you, judging your moves. Um, but the other side of that is there's this freedom that comes with it once you're able to just say, hey, listen, this is who I am. And you're no longer hiding behind this mask. You said you wanted to name your book Unmasked. So you're no longer hiding behind this mask. You're out and you're free. And in dancing, there is a joy that also comes with dancing. It's a form of expressing yourself.
Right.
So when you were able to be free and just let people, when you were able to come out, just let people know exactly who you are, did you feel as if that there was this freedom that came with expressing yourself?
Oh yes, yeah. So I mean, basically, I didn't have to hold back anything, and I can actually I didn't utilize it then, but I'm utilizing it now.
Mhm,
Channeling that inner pain, that emotion from the past, and reworking it and recycling it almost. Like
mhm,
recycle your pain. I like to use that term a lot. Instead of just like getting rid of the pain, forgetting the pain, trying to instead recycle it to a better purpose. Because our past was meant. We were meant to go down a path for a reason.
mhm.
So. Um, it's basically reworking that pain and channeling into something creative, and that's what I'm trying to do here.
Okay. Okay. So the other thing that you say you saw, it was like two women's faces, but they were looking in opposite directions.
Yeah.
With your addiction, did you sometimes feel so those look like mirror images of each other? There's the same exact image, just looking in different directions. So did you have a hard time looking yourself in the mirror when it came to the addiction?
Oh yeah. I There's been times where I would look in the mirror and I would say, you know what the heck's wrong with you? What's why are you like this? And sometimes it's like, oh, you're a piece of work, or you know piece of shit, if you will. It's it was definitely, um but that's nothing new. That was nothing new for me. Even prior to my addiction, that was, I would look in the mirror and say the same thing.
Mhm. um Prior to the addiction, you would look in the mirror and say the same thing. Why was that?
Let's see. I was an overweight child, and so I, even after, because I had I've lost a bunch of weight, and even looking in the mirror, I would still see that same person.
Hmm.
Um, Looking back at me in the mirror, that 400-pound person, that person that you know that that couldn't hold down a job, couldn't get their finances right, couldn't, just wasn't doing anything right in my headspace and what I thought. Um, so even prior to my addiction, that's where my headspace was. I thought I was considered a loser, and honestly, that's kind of what I was ingrained to believe in this environment that I grew up in.
Hmm. Okay. And when you say the environment, you mean the cult?
Yeah, the cult, just home life, even school, being tormented in school. So many different things. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say tormented in school, the kids were picking on you because of your weight?
Oh, because my weight, they would call me gay, but little did I know that, they were telling the truth, but I just didn't, put
Yeah,
two and two together at the time. or,
but
or I
even though
refused to
it's
put two
the
and two
truth, they
together.
were doing it in a derogatory manner, though. So
Right.
they were it was a hurtful truth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. All right. All right. I want to get into another. Actually, before we do another Rorschach test, I want to talk about your podcast.
Okay.
So what exactly is your podcast about?
So my podcast, such as the name, the Life Addicts podcast, struggling with addiction for a while and kind of being in recovery of that. I I used addiction to escape. I used addiction to cope with life because I wasn't happy. I wasn't living life to its fullest. I didn't feel fulfilled. And, there was something missing. There was something deep inside that I was trying to figure out. And substances took that feeling and just kind of numbed it to make me feel better. So now being on the recovering aspect of it and not wanting to get back into part, that part of my life, I want to grow in a more sober lifestyle, and I want to live life to its fullest without any need, without that feeling of, I want to feel that the endorphins raising because of something that I'm doing, not because of a chemical that's being put in my body.
Right.
So I want to enjoy life as much as possible, even as little as like going for a walk out in the park or something like that, or even getting a bike. I'm actually going to go bike shopping probably on Monday, and I'm going to take my bike out to trails. I have a bike riding buddy. It's just stuff like that. That kind of like we wasted so much time like worrying about like the everything about the what ifs. So many things. It's time. It's time. I'm 31 years old. So I need to start looking at my life and saying, what now?
Mhm.
Because I've been so long. It's been so long that I've just let my life just kind of just pass me by, and
Right.
now being at the age I am, I'm still young, but I'm not as young as I was,
Mhm.
and now with this new outlook, new hope, this new feeling that I have, this new excitement, I want to channel it as much as I possibly can, and using my past as that driving force for that change. So the podcast is going to basically be that in my um as far as like in my realm, but I also want to talk about like simple things like how to be happy, and like let me bring on an expert who knows who knows a thing or two about being happy, living sober. I want to talk to people who have lived sober lives for longer than I have, and I want to see how they cope with life. And we can talk about subjects such as like finance, even like spiritualism, stuff like that. Just basically everyday life that we have to kind of deal with, the struggles that we deal with on a daily basis, but kind of add a little twist to it and make it more of like, okay, how can we take this situation and make it enjoyable? How can we become addicted to life to where when problems come our way, we'll just, why not just let it go?
Right.
Or let's deal with this with a newfound excitement, newfound power that we have.
Yeah. I think that podcast would be good not only for people who suffer from addiction, but people who may have just addictive personalities, such as myself. I don't have full blown addiction, but I do have an addictive personality. I believe the difference between the two, for me anyway, with the way I see it, is I may get into something and start doing it, and then I have this yearning for it, and I just want to keep doing it, and I want to use it to mask whatever it is that I'm dealing with. But before it goes too far, I'm able to reel myself back in. So I do have a certain level of control, a little more control over it than somebody who does suffer from full blown addiction. I have addiction pretty heavy on both sides of my family. So I do know that it's something that I need to be very aware of. So I believe that this podcast would be good for somebody such as myself who may not have full blown addiction, but I may have an addictive personality, but comes from a family or two different families that have addiction, that suffer with people who suffer from addiction. I also think that it could help with people who don't even suffer from addiction. There are certain people who, um, just like you said, you need to learn how to be happy. And there are too many people who are trying to figure out how to be happy, but looking outside of themselves. They're putting that power, that control in somebody else's hands or in something else, when true happiness, it starts here. It
Right.
starts here. So so that podcast, I believe, is something, there's something there for everybody. And
Oh,
I
absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely, and that's kind of like the aim that I want to do is like, okay, people with addictive personalities or people who just want to be happy. This, we rewire our addictive personalities, and we can, I what actually basically what prompted me to start this podcast was actually a book that I was reading called The Power of Habit,
Mhm.
by Charles Duhigg, and he basically kind of gives like the science behind habits, and like it just goes with research after research and scenarios after scenarios of different times where basically by changing the rewiring of our brains or what we used to do, our habits that we used to form, how can we change it to where we can incorporate new habits and more healthier habits and being addicted to life in a more healthier way than being addicted to something that can be harmful long term.
Mhm. Or being addicted to happiness.
Right. Yep. Positive addictions.
Right, positive
Yeah.
addictions. Because the one thing that you do learn is that um an addict is an addict for life. And for the most part, you just trade one addiction for another, but that addictive gene or that addictive personality, that addictive mindset, it's still there. And you hear people who have been sober for years, and they say, every day I wake up, I have to fight. It's a struggle for me every single day. So when you look at it like that, you need things like this. You need other people out there who are fighting. And you need to hear people who have addiction, they need to hear that other people are sober but still fighting. They're not in this alone.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that's going to be a very powerful, and you've already started this podcast, correct?
I actually created my first episode actually launched today.
Okay.
It's simply called the beginning, and I just kind of go into depth. Probably actually gave a better explanation here on this one than I did actually my own one. But work in progress. I'm not perfect, y'all. But however, like yeah, it's my first one that just launched today, and it's just basically the beginning, and it kind of just explains everything. And I just want to roll with that, start that as the momentum, build a foundation, and then roll with it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. I'm looking forward to where you go with that podcast too. Okay. All right. Let's get into another test here.
Okay.
All
Let me see if
right.
I can stump you again.
Now look, all of these podcasts, I mean, all of these Rorschach tests, they are new. I haven't seen any, like I downloaded them so that I could upload them, but I haven't taken the time to really just look at these things. So I have no idea what I'm about to get myself into. And this one right here, I don't know what the hell this is, but have at it.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
All right. I see the world map.
okay. I can
Yep.
see.
And it actually mirrors itself on the ends, but I mean, actually kind of just mirrors itself, kind of. Again, another mirroring thing, but it definitely is the world map. I definitely see that.
Okay. You see anything else, or that's it?
Um, I kind of see. I kind of going back to that ant head again. In the middle, in the
Mhm.
middle. Now that you mentioned that, like that's all I'm like seeing right now. And then also some kind of creature doing pull-ups. I don't know. It's just one of those. I don't know what that one that's all about, but if you can run with that one, then that's great. If not, then we'll just pretend that didn't happen.
I'm going to stick with the world map now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What I see a cat. I see a cat's face in the middle,
Okay.
and on the side it looks like two bumblebees. You can't see that, can you? It's
Trying.
okay.
Okay, I see the cat. Kind of. Okay, start to see the cat before it kind of like goes out into like the little claw things.
Uh-huh.
And what I see anyway. But yeah, I definitely see the cat's face. I'm kind of lost on the bumblebee one though.
It took me a while to kind of put that together, but I find it
It's
like I
it's it's for the eye of the beholder,
yeah, that was good, Bo.
right?
That
Right.
was good. Okay, so you see the world map.
Yes.
Tell me this, how do you see the world?
Well, um, I used to see it in very black and white.
Hmm.
I did not. I
That
all I saw, basically what it shows right there. That's basically what I read into that.
Mhm.
Is I used to see the world in very much black and white scenario. It was like, we're good, you're bad. Anything outside of our the confines of this building that we were in, everything else was horrible, and I didn't see that gray line. And for me, growing up in that situation, being gay, I had to bury that and pretend and just like act like that wasn't true. And I just figured that I would never be able to express myself in that manner. So it was always like either you go all in or you're all out.
okay.
And so that's basically what they express. So now looking back, I see so much more colors,
Hmm.
so many more colors within this world, and so many beautiful people, beautiful situations, beautiful life. It's completely different than what I used to see.
Hmm. And when you were younger, growing up, were you afraid of the world?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And they taught us to be afraid of the world, and taught us
You
to
mean
be afraid of, yeah,
in the culture they
yep.
taught you? Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, they taught us to be afraid of the world and to not associate with yourself, because the more you associate, the more you become them, and the more you get tainted, and you turn into this evil person, and you can no longer fall back after, or you can never come back after a certain period of time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So they had this very, it seems like they had this very fire and brimstone way of dealing with things. However, they had a very, it was almost as if the fire and brimstone was hiding something that was like a deeper, darker, more evil and sinister thing that was at play.
Oh
Am I right?
yeah, yeah, and basically they tried to make us feel like the fire and brimstone was right outside our house.
Mm, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was coming to get you.
Yeah. Yep. And you said right now you see the world, you see a bunch of colors now, the world in a much more colorful way.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
tell me more about that, about your views of the world now versus the way you saw them when you were younger. What and what I mean is more when you say very colorful, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's not so much black and white. There's not so much like evil and good. There's a middle. There's like little bits and pieces that people are there. People are eclectic. All people are all different shapes, sizes, colors,
Mhm.
sexual orientations. So many things that we were either sinner or not sinner.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, there's so many more people, and much like my career choice of being a social worker, even after being through that, I chose the role of social worker because I wanted to get involved and get engrossed almost into this idea of being with people and learning about people and learning about just everything, and just learning to love people that I wasn't able to do before. And some days are harder than the others. Some days I still like try to. I mean, I still end up falling back because I mean, when you're being taught that so long, taught that whole black and white scenario, it's really easy to kind of almost catch yourself falling back into that old pattern. But then but being able to catch myself is the most important thing, and being able to kind of reel it back in and be like, okay, there's more good people in the world than there are bad people,
Right.
and there are more beautiful things in the world than there are ugly things.
Hmm.
And in a whole, the world is not too horrible of a place to live.
Right.
And it's being able to get to that mindset where before it was like, oh, the world's horrible. We got to wait till heaven comes and, takes us all away before, takes us all away from the bad people.
Mhm.
That's basically what it was. And being
Oh,
able to look at it now and being like, I am these people,
mm-hmm.
and I am who, I am these people. And that's what's exciting to me.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's get into another test here. All right. What do you see here? Wait, we did that one. Ignore that
Yep.
one.
The
This.
dancing ladies again. Oh boy. This one gave me chills actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, because immediately I see a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And not only a mask, but during the bubonic plague, those masks that they would wear with where they would basically put I guess different kind of herbs and herbs or whatever that they used to inside the thing and like lit it on fire so that they wouldn't catch it would help fight the plague. And that's the picture that I think about, and that's honestly the mask that I picture when I think about the unmasking that I had to do, leaving the world I knew.
Hmm.
And I also see two bear claws.
Okay. On the like under the mask.
Yeah.
Okay. I also see a mask. But then I also at the top I also see the female reproductive system. Um, right. Yes, all of that in the middle. It looks like the female reproductive system, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is really on par with everything. Normally when I do these, and I say this just about every podcast, I'm able to sexualize all of these things. But this time, I'm not really so much sexualizing this, even though I am talking about the reproductive system. Before I would see vaginas, and I would
That's all
see.
you, buddy.
But I would see vaginas in a sexual way. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I see something different. I see a female reproductive system, but not in a sexual way. Not in a sexual way. So, but I definitely, but the first thing I do see is the mask. So, and that's what you say. You saw the mask. Um, you made this one really easy. You literally have a book that you're going to call Unmasked, unless you
Yep.
decide to change the name. But um, it is so. Let's talk about how it felt to have to wear that mask growing up when you realized that you were gay, and then you also realized I can't let anybody know this. You held on to that for a long time because you're talking about third grade was when you had your first crush on a guy, and then you weren't even it was you were 28 years old when you decided to come out. So that's a long time to be wearing a mask. How did it feel to wear that mask, and what did you do to make sure that that mask never slipped?
Um, let's see. Whew, that's a tough one. The feeling was the best thing I can really kind of bring it to is like I died a little bit every day.
Hmm.
And I felt as though um yeah, I felt like I was dying inside. I felt like my whole outside appearance was all like painted and upper pretty, but there's termites with inside the confines of its walls, and it's like eating me alive, and I'm just dying inside. And I feel like a part of me was lost at a very, very young age, and I never like I knew this side of me at a very young age, and then I lost connection with that person. And so that's the biggest thing I can basically say is like dying inside and losing a part of myself at a very young age and not knowing who that person was until later on in life.
Did you date women to try to throw people off?
I tried. Um, I definitely tried. There was like girls that I would talk to and stuff like that, and it's interesting is I guess birds of a feather, I guess if you will. because two of the girls that I actually would date with their that were in the church, that I tried to talk to, necessarily not date, but I tried to talk because we weren't allowed to date. Um, so who I was talking to actually ended up being coming out gay later on in life as well.
Hmm.
So we were kind of it was kind of maybe like a good connection there, but for a different reason than I didn't realize at the time. But it was definitely very hard to do that because like a part of me was like, okay, I mean very well I could probably figure it out. I could probably like get married to a woman and probably have kids and stuff like that. But that's not fair to her
Hmm.
because I'm not going to ever love her in the way that I would love somebody who I'm actually attracted to and can establish, like, would be happy with. So there's going to always be that unhappiness and like carrying on a mask from childhood to like early adulthood to into marriage. That's just unfair to me and unfair to that person.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Then, and you were finally able to let that mask down.
Yes.
Um, I was trying to figure out how to connect the bear claws, but I got nothing. Whatever. It
I
doesn't.
can say it's probably like that inner fight, that inner turmoil, that inner fight, just like the inner me just trying to claw its way out. And and also a brown bear is my spirit animal. But
You're doing my
but
job better than me. That's just, all right.
and hey,
not,
I can even take it.
not
I can even
only
take it.
not only have you stumped me more than anybody else stumped me. I mean, I figured it out, but you stumped me more than anybody else stumped me. You're the first person to actually do my job too. So, I applaud you.
And I'll go a step further. The female reproductive system
Uh-huh.
is being that one person for so long and rebirthing into something new. This new, almost like a rebirth.
That's good. But see, that was what I saw. So it doesn't matter what I see. This is
Oh,
about,
okay.
but that was good though. That was
Yeah.
good. I actually, and you know what? I'm actually glad that you did say that though, because at some point, I'm trying to figure out how I can get somebody to come on my show and just completely flip the script. I want somebody that I'll put up Rorschach tests, and I will tell them what I see, and then I want them to psychoanalyze me. I actually want to bring on a psychologist,
Ooh.
and I want to do it with them. I want to psychoanalyze them, and then have
Mm.
them psychoanalyze me. But I think that would be a lot of fun. But I got to find somebody that. Hello, people. There are people out there. They're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, oh my gosh, is he either doing a podcast? Yes, I am. I am doing a podcast. Oh,
Yeah, the birds outside my window are acting like I'm crazy too.
so they're trying to come in. So all right, let's get to another. Let's get to it. I want to do one more Rorschach test podcast.
All right.
Rorschach test. All right. What do you see here?
Hmm. Definitely a face and definitely a bird's face, but I'm kind of conflicted on because of the outside part of it. I'm almost thinking like it's very peacock-esque. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna go with that. Almost
Okay.
like a peacock type vibe of like a bird. I mean, I still definitely see the face in the middle, but as it branches out, I see, I see like I guess like, I would say like a certain pattern that makes me think that it might be like I would think peacock.
That is exactly what I see. I was going to say the exact same thing: the bird's face in the middle, and then the peacock, feathers on the outside. So the peacocks, they spread their wings, and it's bright, it's beautiful, it's very eye catching. With your music, with your music, do you find yourself having a certain freedom, the freedom that will come with being a bird or a peacock, being able to just spread your wings and to create in a way that is beautiful, to, as a musician, you are painting with your words and you're creating these bright, beautiful colors, to tell a story. So is that how you feel when you're making your music?
Oh yeah, and it when I'm getting in that mode of like this passion mode where I'm creating a song that it's just coming to me in my head and I'm writing it down and there's like no forethought to it. There's no like trying to figure out things. It's just words that I'm just writing down and the melody just comes right along with it. It's
Mhm.
almost like I'm seeing these colors unfold on this page as I'm writing it down. I'm like, you know, red being like a more heavier part of the song, or like a big heavier like notion or a heavier tone of the song or words, and then kind of like blue greens and stuff like that as it gets into like the more like soft and positive, aspect. So I definitely see colors when I get into the process and get into the mode of writing, so I could definitely relate to that.
All right. And do you feel a sense of freedom when you're creating your music? And when I say freedom, I mean, do you feel as though, you can get in there and you can do and say anything it is that you want to say? I mean, you have that type of freedom, or do you sometimes feel, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this because it could be seen a certain way, or maybe I could be crossing a line if I say this, or do you just create just from a standpoint of just being free?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. It's definitely a battle, an inner battle, then like what I can say, what I can't say.
Mhm.
Um, it's like, do I really write those words on the paper? And not only that, like, especially like transitioning on into my book, the memoir, it's going to have some stuff that's not going to be pretty. And it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a tell-all. And not only music, but even in that, like there's that inner battle. It was like, do I really write that? Or but if I want to be completely honest and authentic and transparent as I want to be, taking off that mask and showing who I actually am, I have to show people where I came from. And sometimes that involves taking on some stories that maybe maybe controversial, maybe an issue for like even personal relationships.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing with songs. Like I can go in and I can tell a story that can impact how I feel about my past or how I feel right now, um, and how much I'm willing to put myself out there. And that's where that inner struggle, that inner battle comes in. Do I keep my feathers closed or do I go full peacock explosion? Full color explosion. Do I do it all or do I just reel it back in and just be fly under the radar, or peacocks don't fly, but like walk
Right.
under the radar.
Right. Yes. So, um, my advice would be to spread your wings and just let it all out, because I don't think we're necessarily going for a controversy. I don't want to say the more controversial the content, the more, the people will latch on to it, because unfortunately we're in a time where people are just, they love controversy. So they're gonna immediately go to that. But the thing is, and I hesitate to use that word, because you're not necessarily doing this from a place of being controversial. It
Right.
just it just so happens that it can be received that way. But it's your story, it's your truth, and nobody has the right to tell you that you're not allowed to tell your truth. So if you telling your truth means that you spread those wings, then so be it. So, and that would just be my advice to you, with your music, and don't hold anything back. Don't hold anything back. And if there are people who may have hurt you or wronged you, um, that's sometimes you got to be careful about who you cross. You never know what that person may turn into and what kind of things may come back to bite you in the ass later on in life. So, hey, if they feel as though you've crossed some lines now, it's because they crossed some lines then.
I
So
like that.
yeah, so just be you. Just be you. Okay. All right. I do have some other pictures here. I got and these other pictures that I have here, it's going to lead to a question that I have for you. Okay. But I was on your Facebook page. I was looking at some of your pictures, and I want to put up two of the pictures that you have on your page, and I want you to just tell me a little bit about how you feel about these things. Okay.
All right. Love me some Golden Girls.
Okay. And then here's the other picture.
Yep. Have a
Okay.
golden Friendsgiving. Yeah.
All right. So the reason that I chose these two pictures, and which is going to lead into a question that I have about guilty pleasures. One of my guilty pleasures, I had the biggest crush on Rue McClanahan. I'm gonna tell you something. I and it's and maybe it was just Blanche. Maybe it wasn't Rue McClanahan, unless Rue McClanahan was exactly the way Blanche was. Blanche could get it. All right,
That is true.
Blanche could get it. I understand she was older, but I mean, I like an older freak. I mean, just whatever. Like yeah, that was one of my guilty pleasures. My thing was, if I ever come across Rue McClanahan and she acts the way Blanche does, and me and her happen to disappear for a couple hours, then you know what's happening. And it's going down. So rest in peace to Rue McClanahan, by the way.
I was about to say if she shows up now, there's other issues. There's
Yeah,
other things to
no,
put.
no, I'm not into dead chicks. Oh Lord, am I going to get canceled for that? I got to be careful. Yo, I have every single podcast. I say to myself, Tyrell, don't say this, don't say that, because you just never know. You know, people take things and they run with it or whatever. But I'm not into dead chicks. Anyway, um,
And you said it again.
I know I
Okay.
did.
You already said it, so might as well just run with it.
Exactly. Yeah, might as well double down. So, but and shout out to Betty White. Please don't die. I don't ever want her to
Oh
die.
no. Whew, no.
Yeah,
I want her to be 130. I want her to die around the same time I do.
right. Exactly. Yeah, we go
Yeah.
together. We go
Yeah.
together.
I want to grow older together. Yeah.
Yes. Right. But do you have any guilty pleasures that you want to share? And
Hmm.
yours can be just as ridiculous as mine.
Guilty pleasures. Well, definitely not Blanche. Other than I do like to channel her, my inner Blanche, occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. Let's see. Guilty pleasures. Um. This is a question I was not prepared for. Good job. Well, a lot of these questions I weren't prepared for, but let's see. I would probably have to say, this is feeding my ego, of course. But the feeling I get when I do something to now or help people or do something creative or whatever, and the feedback is like super super positive and sometimes very constructive. Um, I do get that rush of that feeling that I do love that feeling of and I don't like to be I try to keep myself as like grounded as possible, but it does boost my ego a little bit to have like people cheer and that feeling of being accepted and stuff. Like I guess that's kind of part of it, is the acceptance part, because I didn't have it for so long. So
So so the guilt
maybe that's what it is.
so the guilt comes in with the ego because it's an
Yes.
ego boost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, yours is a lot more tame than mine. Um
Well, I'm trying not to get you canceled. So
yeah, thank you.
yeah,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
because I
Although,
could have went worse. I could have went worse.
here's
However,
the thing: if you go worse, you're getting canceled, not me.
true, true, true. I've already been thrown in Facebook jail for the first time ever. I just got
how,
thrown in Facebook jail, so I'm trying
how
to
did you
yeah.
feel?
like a rebel. Rebel, literally without a cause. Cause
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you
you know,
something. After my fourth time being in Facebook, actually after my third time being in Facebook jail, I was like, you know what? This is a cakewalk. I ain't worried about this. I've been in Facebook jail 9 times. I've been I've been flagged. I don't know how many different times because they like to go back and find stuff from the past, and
right,
like whatever. This is the only time that I actually started caring about being in Facebook jail because my show, my podcast actually airs on Facebook as well as YouTube.
right,
So if my page is shut down, then it won't be able to air and I won't be able to promote for the show. So now I actually care about being in Facebook jail. Like, but before I didn't care. Like the first couple of times because they were for stupid reasons. They
yeah,
were really stupid reasons. But I would say out of the 9 times I've been in Facebook jail, like 2 of them were valid reasons. Two of them were valid. The other ones were like, this is stupid. Like, but whatever. People are bored.
right, right.
I guess they're bored up there. Facebook. They got to figure out how to spend their time. So and the thing is, I think that after the first time you end up in Facebook jail, you're on their radar.
Hmm.
And that's why it's so easy to keep going back. I believe the first time I was probably reported, somebody probably reported me or something. The other times I probably wasn't even reported. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of times I know for a fact that I wasn't reported because as soon as I posted it, I got a notification from them.
They was watching you.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
was like, what Tyrell gonna do then?
Yeah.
What Tyrell about to post? I feel a vibe. He about to
Yeah.
say something.
Yep. So they're watching. They're like Santa Claus now. They watch me when I'm sleeping, when I'm awake, freaking
Yeah,
purr.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, man, we are about to wrap this up. I think this has definitely been very, very informative and very. I think it's just been a powerful. You have a powerful story. You have a powerful story, and I wanted you to disclose a lot of it without giving away too much, just because you have your book coming and you have your own podcast. And I want people to be able to buy your book and I want them to go to your podcast. I don't want them to get the whole story here. But,
Right.
for everybody listening, you got to understand there's a lot more to this story. It's a lot more to the story. So, and it's definitely worth reading, it's definitely worth listening to. So, I appreciate you for being you. I appreciate you for not holding anything back and just for giving people the courage and the freedom to just be themselves. Because we need more people like that, and we need more people. There's so many people who are just afraid. They're afraid of being themselves. They're afraid of dropping that mask. They're afraid of the way that the world views them because of the way that they view the world. So we just need more people like you that are just willing to take those chances and to just jump out there and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, but this is where I am now and this is where I'm going. So I just thank you so much for that, man. Before we get out of here, I do want you to let everybody know when they can see your podcast, where they can see your podcast, your music, how they can get in contact with you if you want them to get in contact with you. Just anything that you want to give them, just give them everything right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't really have like a music Facebook page, so my online persona, my actual Facebook page is Beau Glaros, Glaros. So if you want to, go to that and friend me, I put post up there about everything, basically you know, my music, my podcasts, my blog, and stuff like that, and then updates on my book when as they come, will be on there as well. The podcast, of course, is thelifeaddicts.com. It'll take you right to the Anchor FM screen page that basically has the podcast that are hopefully are going to be distributed to other networks later on, like Apple, different places like that. So I'm really hoping that that gets done soon.
I'll show you how to do
Um, Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, just look me up. I don't care if you want to friend request me, go ahead, friend request me, and you can get my updates from there, and then you'll also get a little bit more of who I am.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so before we get out here, I got one more picture that I want to put up here, and I want you to tell me exactly what it is that you see. Okay.
All right.
All right.
This is the greatest podcast ever.
And I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your time, Bo. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your transparency. I appreciate it. I hope other people appreciate it as well. And I look forward to everything you got coming on. You got coming down the pipeline.
Right on. Awesome.
All right. All right, man. You take care. And for everybody else, y'all be good.